Hello and welcome to my training section. In this video, we'll go ahead and review the basic step to install and configure your MySQL server on AWS EC2 Instance. My name is Michael Hunegnon. You can follow the full course training on https://michaelhunegnon.wordpress.com/mysql-trainings. I will make sure to post this link in the description of this video as well. Let's get started. So in order to install MySQL Server, we have to have a server. And for the type of the server we decide to use in this video is AWS EC2 Instance. I will go ahead and show you the high-level step on how to create your EC2 instance. Then we will come back and I will show you how to install Percona Server MySQL 5.7 on EC2 instance or any CentOS or Red Hat instance, and how to install Oracle MySQL 5.7 Community Edition on your EC2 instance or on your virtual machine. The only difference between Percona and MySQL at this step of the training is just the package name. So let's go ahead and see how you can create your EC2 instance. First, you will need an AWS EC2 account. Then when you have that, you have to connect to your AWS Management Console. You can go ahead and search for EC2 in your search bar, which is the easiest way. Then click on Instance Running. I have no instance running at that time. You can have more, but click on Launch Instance if you want to launch a new one. We'll choose the default instance type for the purpose of this training, which is Amazon Linux instance. The instance type will also be the default, which is the T2 micro, is free. But for your purpose or maybe for your workload, you may have to choose a different instance type that suit or fit your needs. So let's go ahead and click Configure Instance Details. Maybe in your case, you may have to create a new VPC. In my case, I already have a default VPC, which is very easy to set up. You just have to create the default VPC by clicking in this link. So let's go ahead and use that default VPC and go to the next step, which is the storage. We'll have 8 GB of storage, which is totally fine for our testing purpose. The next step is the tag. It's optional, but it's good to have a tag for your server. So let's name it Training MySQL. You can put any name you want. It does really matter. Training MySQL Server 5.7. The most important step is the security group. I will make sure I will only connect to my server from my public IP. In your case, your public IP will be different. If you have a custom IP where it is not your public IP, you can add that. You can also add many rules as you want. Let's go ahead and keep our public IP for now. Let's review and launch. And by launching, it will ask us if we want to create a new key pair or choose an existing key pair. If you don't have a key pair, you can create a new one. In my case, I already have my key pair, so I will choose an existing and click on Acknowledge. If you create a new key pair, you have to make sure you download the key pair before you proceed. So my instance is now launching in backend. You can click on the refresh button to see the progress. So for now, I will pause the video. Here we go. My instance is now up and running. So I will go ahead and click on the instance. The most important information I need is my public IP. You can also use the public DNS as well. but I prefer the public IP because it's kind of a short name compared to a DNS. So let's copy that. And now let's open the terminal. Here is my terminal. And right now I'm located in the training folder on my desktop. And inside that folder, I have my public key. Make sure you chmod your public key with a mode that does not give a read access to other user. So I will give 500 to my public key. Good. Now let's SSH, specify the key, specify EC2-user. I will go ahead and expand my screen so you can see better. Alt, my public IP. I will accept. Then I'm connected. So first thing I would like to do is to pause at this point the training and show you what the next step will be. So we create an AWS EC2 instance. Now let's go ahead and install Percona MySQL 5.7. So for the purpose of this video, we won't really try to reinvent the wheel. We'll go ahead and type in Google install Percona server 5.7, and we'll choose the Red Hat because our EC2 instance is a CentOS instance. So let's choose Red Hat and let's make sure we are getting to the Yom repository link for Percona. So let's click on that, and here you can see in order to install Percona server, the first step is to install Percona repository. So we'll go ahead and copy this command to install Percona repository, and let's go back to the terminal. And I have to be sudo, of course. Good. Let's click yes for Y. Complete. Now we have our Percona repository up and running. The next thing we have to do is to check all the package inside our Percona repository. This is very helpful just to know the list of package of the repository. So let's go ahead and run this command. It takes time, but it grabs all the package and highlight everything that is Percona. What we are looking for is to install Percona servers. So you can see that in the list, Percona server 5.7. So we go ahead and install that. You can also see that in the documentation as well, that is the exact package we want to install. So you'll install Percona server 57 for MySQL 5.7. So let's go ahead and install that. Let's put sudo because I'm not sudo, I'm the EC2 user. Click on Y. The installation take a couple time based on your internet connection. Good. The installation is now complete. By default, when you install MySQL on a CentOS environment, it creates the root user for you, but the root user will be inside of MySQL error log file. But first, let's go ahead and start our MySQL service. So service MySQL d start, sudo of course. So this will start our MySQL service. I have to make sure I'm sudo. Good. So this is the sign that MySQL is up and running when you see this line. And also I was talking about the password. So MySQL, the root user will come with a default password, and that password is inside your error log. I will go ahead and type the exclamation sign and then for the keyword password. As you can see, a temporary password is generated for root localhost, and this is my password. So I will copy that, click on escape, column Q, just to exit your error log file, and I will type mysql-u root-p, and I will paste the password. By default, you won't be able to run any command on your new MySQL environment unless you change that default password. By example, let's try to do this, show databases. It won't allow me to run that basic command and ask me to reset my password with the alter user command. Let's go ahead and exit. Let's call MySQL secure installation and go ahead and type the password or paste the password for the root. So the MySQL secure installation will protect our server, set up a secure password for the root user, as well as perform a basic security cleanup. So I will enter, oops, I just entered a blank password, which is not good. So my new password will be not a basic password like a blank password I was typing. Let's go ahead and type a password. So I already changed the password for root. Remove anonymous user, yes. Disallow root logging remotely, yes. Remove test database, yes. Reload privilege, yes. Now let's go ahead and connect to our MySQL instance. Now we should be able to see the list of the database with show databases. So I show you briefly how to install MySQL on the EC2 instance. We also see that with CentOS, the password is in the MySQL error log file, which is the var log MySQL d log file, and you have to find that password in order to connect for the first time, and you can use that password to change with your own password with MySQL secure installation. I will go ahead now and show the last step of my training, which is how to install MySQL on MySQL Community Edition on the AWS EC2 Instance, which is basically the same step. The only difference is the package. And one thing you will also notice is you can check the version of your server with alt version, which is MySQL 5.7.33. And when you connect for the first time, it also tell you the server version as well as the MySQL product, which is Percona server. So we'll go ahead and remove our Percona server package before we install MySQL community, because it's different package and it won't be compatible to each other. So let's go ahead and remove that and hit the yes. Let's check if we have any RPM of Percona. So we still have the Percona server client running. Let's go ahead and remove that as well. And the last package is Percona server shared. We have two of them. I will remove them all together. By putting the star key. So I just have to be careful about what I'm removing. That have the dependencies of Postfis, which is fine. That will be installed by the MySQL Community Edition. Good, all done. So same for MySQL, Oracle MySQL Community Server. We'll go ahead and type in Google, install MySQL Community Server, right that. And this is that same thing like we see for Percona, we choose the YOM repo, right? For Oracle MySQL, we'll make sure to choose the exact same YOM repo. So I'll go ahead and click on that link. Even though it's a MySQL 8 repo, inside MySQL 8 repo, we will be able to install the MySQL 7 server, because the repository have all the version of MySQL available from 7 to 8. So let's scroll down a little bit. You can see the general rule is to install from your platform. So we'll go ahead and copy this command. But most importantly, we have to know the version of your server, right? And you also have to know where this package is located. So this is why they provide this link here. So we'll go ahead and click on that link. So when you are on that link, make sure you know the version of your CentOS. We know for sure in my environment, we are using CentOS 7. So let's go ahead and click on the download link. In my case, the download just start automatically, which won't be your case. So let's go ahead and click on downloads. In my case, I'm already signed up with Oracle. So if I click on download, you can see right here, it will download the MySQL RPM for me. What I'm looking for is the link. In your case, you may have to sign in with your Oracle account, enter your user ID and your password. If you don't have one, you have to create a new one in order to download Oracle Community, the repository for Oracle Community Edition. So let's go ahead and copy the link right here, and we'll paste that link into our terminal. So we'll perform a sudo yum local install, and let's go ahead and paste this link. So sudo yum local install and the repository, and hit yes. Good, we have our repository now, like we do for Percona. It's the exact same step. Now let's go ahead and go back to the training. Now we have the repository installed. We only have to verify all the MySQL community package inside that repository. We can verify that with this command. Let's go ahead and run that. It takes a little bit time. Then we see we have our MySQL community right here, community server. Then we have a couple tools. So the tool the package we want to install is MySQL 80 community, and we can also go ahead and install MySQL 5.7 as well. There is a little trick when you install MySQL 8 repository and you want to install MySQL 5.7. You have to change the repository file by disabling MySQL 8 and enabling 5.7. So let's go ahead and do that. Is in etc yom that repo, okay, and then MySQL community, I think is that repo. Let's go ahead and edit this file. Let's enable 5.7 by putting 1, and let's disable 8. That's pretty much all we have to do. Let's go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and run the command to install MySQL 5.7. As you can see, when we run the yom repo list to check the repository now, we have 5.7, which is enabled by default. So now let's go ahead and install our MySQL community server. Sudo yom install MySQL community server. Good. Now we have our MySQL client, our MySQL community common and libs, and as well as MySQL server. Let's go ahead and hit yes. And let's wait for the installation process to finish. Good, this is complete. Now let's go ahead and service MySQL start. Good, and again it's going to generate a default password inside our var log MySQL d files. Let's go ahead to the end. We can see our MySQL server stat. So as you can see, when installing Percona and MySQL server is exactly the same step. The only difference is the package. For Percona server, we just have to call a different package, and for MySQL server is also a different package. Percona server package, we see it on Percona blog, which is right here. So we install the repository, which is a different package. Then we go ahead to install Percona server 57, right? For MySQL community from Oracle, the repository is also different. You have to copy the link and paste it. And then the package installation you will see is MySQL community servers. And all the step I follow has been described here: how to enable 5.7, how you can also enable 8, or you can disable it. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it was super helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.